So it's been an ongoing conversation over the recent years, hasn't it? Some workers say they live in fear, basically, of being redundant because of the increasing presence of artificial intelligence in some industries. Questions have been raised about how humans can protect their professional futures in the era of advanced technologies. Well, let's speak to the head of the Institutional Advancement at Boston City Campus, Dr. Laura Fisher. Very good evening to you, Doctor. Good to have your time. I wonder about your assessment when it comes to how well we've done in using AI perhaps as a friend and a colleague rather than a competitor.
Good evening to you and good evening to everyone listening. I think that I really love the way you framed the question in terms of how have we done using it as a friend. And I think that that's one of the big myths that we need to really bust, is that it is a competitor to us. I think that really to think of AI as a threat and a danger is the wrong starting point. And we almost need to look at the transformative power of AI. We are the AI generation, and that AI tool is in our hands. We are not in its hands. And it has the power to amplify us and to define the future of humanity. So I think that we are embracing it as a friend. Obviously, it's a friend who we fear because we don't necessarily know them particularly well. But the more familiar we get with this friend, the better we're going to do.
The problem with this friend is they seem to be able to do anything they put their mind to. They don't require a salary. They don't need a pension. They don't need annual leave. They don't need to go on maternity leave. So for humans who need all of those things in the workplace and require them from an employer, it's hard to not feel as though we're basically going to be replaced by machines that are basically cheaper and less of a hassle to manage. Is that justified?
I think to some extent there is a justification in what you're saying, in that certainly AI has the power to take away some of our job and automate and, as you said, make some of the elements of our lives easier. But, you know, if we think of AI rather as thinking of it as artificial intelligence, if we think about it as amplification intelligence, I think then we're looking at a very different question. We're looking at the question of how do we leverage the power to augment this and to elevate it to service our needs, to leverage it for our interests. And yes, certain jobs could potentially be replaced by AI technology, but as that happens, there's an adaptation and an evolution going on that almost certainly will result in, yes, some jobs becoming obsolete, but in its place, new opportunities and new industries arising. So I think that that's something we really need to bear in mind. The World Economic Forum produced its 2023 report today, and what was of real interest to me was that there is this kind of trend expected to continue, with an estimated 75 million jobs worldwide being displaced by technology. However, the next sentence says, the report emphasizes that the shift towards automation creates new job opportunities, and it is estimated that there will be 133 million new roles being created globally. So I think we need to keep this, keep in mind the balance of neither glorifying it nor demonizing it. Something we can leverage.
And am I right to say also that the advances in AI and the introduction into the workplace also have to do with where each country is in terms of development? And added to that, how is South Africa taking to AI, and how is it being best used in a country with our socioeconomic education context?
Yeah, I think that there obviously is a massive fear, particularly within our South African context and the very high unemployment rates that we already sit with, that, there's this figure of like 30% of the country's workforce could result in job losses because of routines and low-skilled jobs such as administrators, clerks, manufacturing roles, which may be automated, and not to undermine anyone or those jobs in any way, but many of those roles can be automated. However, I think there really is an opportunity, regardless of whether we're in the developed world or whether we're in the developing world, to highlight the importance of upskilling and reskilling workers to adapt to the changing job markets. And this is particularly relevant for developing countries like South Africa, where there may be a lack of access to traditional education that could have led to you getting a job. Actually, now you've got a slightly different opportunity because the adoption and the integration of technology into the workplace actually allows opportunity for workers to continuously learn and update their skills, and even to position themselves better in the job market than ever before. I think that the whole idea of upskilling and reskilling and adapting and embracing technology is very important. Right. And, at Boston last week, we were proud to be awarded the CompTIA Partner of the Year. And something like CompTIA focuses specifically on how do we actually train and upskill anyone, young or old, entering your career or halfway through your career. How do we actually take you and really make you more job ready?
Right. And the other question then for people would be, what is it that we can do these days that AI cannot do? I mean, I'll give you a practical example of this job. For instance, there could be any number of technical and factual changes that happen during a live news broadcast, and often you may have to adapt in the moment, with sometimes the viewer not even being aware that you've had to make a change as you're going along, and you wonder if a machine would be able to do that if the programming is at that level.
Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting to look at the human qualities that AI will never be able to replicate. Human qualities, I mean, AI is not a being like we are. We have empathy, we have creativity, we have morality, we have the need for connection. This is what makes us unique and irreplaceable, and we need to cultivate and harness these qualities to create a better future for ourselves and for generations to come. And I don't think that AI is ever going to be able to really connect at that level. Yes, we need to embrace that we are entering into a new world and we need to be brave. But we're also living in exciting times where, just to go back to what I started with, we have an opportunity for the amplification of intelligence. So yes, some of those technicalities could be replaced and maybe done more efficiently with AI. But ultimately, we as humans are sentient beings, and it is not a sentient being. It does not have consciousness or conscience. And it's the tool in our hands. We are not the tool in its hands. And I think that the important thing is to really actually look at, where can I get myself upskilled? Where can I get trained? Places like Boston, whether you're a teenager looking to go into the job market and looking for a place that's really going to train you for the future and for really engaging and fully developing these human capabilities. Boston is all about that. Boston Online Home Education is all about that. And there's many other places where we're saying humans have beautiful qualities that AI will never be able to replicate. But in order to truly thrive in this brave new world, we must prioritize for ourselves continuous learning and adaptation, right. And we must use our agility as humans. And Doctor, I think that's something that's very unique that we have.
Thank you very much for your time. Laura Fisher, good to speak to you.